Okay, cool. Well, that's all we really need to do. I think.
Unless you put it on, open up your PC. They do it on the PC, but not on mobile phone for some reason.
I guess that looks okay. I think. It's hard to do this. All right, I think that'll work. It's a little wobbly. Okay. So, the topic of conversation tonight is
Latakia Flake Pipe Tobacco by H.H. McBaron H.H.
You know, I was thinking of actually stealing.
High-end tobacco.
So I watched a podcast by a couple of guys. Here, actually put this here. I don't know if I can see myself in the frame.
That's not your guitar, is it?
Nope.
That's your teddy bear.
Ah, that'll work. I watched a podcast, or it's like a YouTube video, between Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter, and it was titled "The Viruses," and they talked about the coronavirus and Black Lives Matter. So I thought,
wow, edgy.
We could steal that title. It's not like copywritten.
Well, I thought we could use the title "Wag the Dog," but that is the title of a movie.
All right.
Are you familiar with that title?
So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Well, are you familiar with that movie, Wag the Dog? You should look it up. It's a good movie. It's it comes from a term that was a political I had to look it up. There's a political term for some time. It's been used in politics for a while. And one quote about it, why it's called, what that means is if the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. And the idea is that you're drawing attention to a very small, minute problem in order to distract the public from a much larger problem.
Okay.
So, Wag the Dog, the movie, excellent movie,
Is it that?
came out in 1996 or 7 with Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, and some other people.
Oh wow, sounds awesome.
Yeah, good movie.
What?
So
what year?
I think it's 96 or 97. So
Okay.
follow this though. So the premise of the story is the current president is cheats on, has a sex scandal.
Yep.
Okay.
That's never happened.
Just wait, it gets better. And in order to cover it up, he gets his PR guy to come up with an idea to distract the media from it. And what he does is he hires a Hollywood producer and like a team of people to create a war, a fake war. And the premise is that, so what it is in the sort of the story inside the story is that we end up, the United States ends up going to war against Albania.
Holy crap.
And something like, they have this huge story. They hire a songwriter to come up with this theme song, who's actually Willie Nelson. They hire someone who's called the Fad King, who's this comedian, Dennis Leary, very funny, to come up with a fad, and come up with different slogans. It's just all this spin stuff, all the spin doctor stuff.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I think a couple of months after the film after the film aired, and they're successful. Nobody talks about this president's sex scandal. All they're talking about is this fake war. That literally is a fake war in the movie. We have not attacked Albania. No one, and whenever someone tries to bring it up, they are immediately shut down.
Wait, when they try to bring up the sex scandal?
No, when they try to bring, no one talks about the sex scandal. When they try to bring up the fact that it's not a real war, they are immediately shut down.
As like a conspiracy theorist or
Yeah.
something? Oh my gosh.
And yeah, no one talked about the sex scandal. So, and then like a couple of months after the movie came out, Monica Gate happens. Monica Lewinsky happens.
Oh my god.
After the movie comes out.
Do you think
and then right
wait.
right after Monica happened, Clinton bombs like the Sudan or some dumb stuff like that.
Actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Look it up. Yes, this actually happened. I was 20
Wow.
something years old when this happened. It's madness. You're like a fetus. So that's the idea behind the movie and the expression, and I think that's what's going on. I don't usually fall for the right wing conspiracy nut thing. But
Wait,
here's the thing:
okay.
it's not a conspiracy. A conspiracy is something that happens behind closed doors, and there's usually no evidence, because that's kind of the point of a conspiracy. This is happening in broad daylight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it started in 2016 when these people were talking about impeaching Trump before he was even inaugurated. And I don't even like Trump. I didn't vote for him. I don't like him. I don't know if I'll vote for him again. I don't think it really matters in Connecticut anyway. I don't know if I'll vote for him. I might vote for him just to spite people. But they were talking about this from the beginning, so they finally did it. Impeachment didn't work.
What do you mean didn't work?
He didn't get impeached. He didn't get acquitted. He didn't get convicted. He got acquitted.
Right.
So it didn't work. Didn't do anything. Did nothing. And his base was strong, like your political base always is. Your political base never deserves you. You could shoot someone in the face, it doesn't matter. But I think through all this, he's probably able to get more middle of the road people on board with him, seeing that they're so desperate, that the Democrats were so desperate to get rid of him, and it's so obvious. He was probably able to get some political points from all that. I don't know, but it didn't work for them.
So wait, so you actually think that the Black Lives Matter media frenzy was a distraction?
Yeah. So is the coronavirus.
From what?
From the fact that they're trying to, it's all a movement to get rid of Trump.
You think so?
And they're using these things for both reasons.
Yeah,
As a way to sink his presidency, and a way to distract people from the fact that they're trying to sink his presidency.
Okay, well, okay. I mean, you don't actually think that, like, the Democrats flew to China?
No, I don't think that. I think that's opportunistic. That's opportunism.
Okay, so they just took advantage.
I think it was a real. I think it's a real disease, but it's a real disease like flu is a real disease.
Both of these. Well, okay. But both of these things are. They happen naturally. They weren't.
This is how I see it happening. Yeah. Okay. Can I throw this one?
Just I'll take your
father. It's almost like the Democrat Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
The Demolati. Oh, thank you. It's almost like they said, okay, we got to get rid of Trump.
Well, you know what's funny is maybe. Okay, so at first, when it seemed like the coronavirus wasn't that serious, you have people like Joe Biden saying things like, "Oh, Trump's ban on travel to China is xenophobic."
Right.
And
that was in January.
And that was sort of like a preemptive attack in case it wasn't that serious, right?
Right.
But it ended up becoming really serious, so they had to pivot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's opportunism. They didn't create the virus. They created the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think they do that with everything.
Sure, but this is.
And if there's nothing going on, they just find stuff.
This is what I'm saying. That's the next link in the chain. Coronavirus wasn't working for them. More and more people, almost half the country, were protesting against these dumb lockdowns.
Yeah.
Well, actually, more than half the country. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't working. They weren't. People were coming out with information. We know that this isn't killing the amount of people that we think it is. It's on the internet, it's on YouTube, different videos popping up of nurses and doctors coming out and saying, "Hey, this is not really." A lot of these people that are saying that people are dying from this virus didn't actually die from the virus. They were in the hospitals that were on a coronavirus wing, and they were marked as dying from corona.
And the motivation behind that is they get more
federal funding.
Right.
So so that didn't work. So it's almost like they said for the Democrats. It's almost like they said, okay, this isn't working. The impeachment didn't work. Coronavirus isn't working. What else can we do? Well, there's probably a black kid getting roughed up by a cop somewhere in America. Let's find that kid, get him on video, and exploit the hell out of it.
Is like before George Floyd, there was Ahmaud Arbery, and then before him was Breonna Taylor.
Yeah, and didn't say anything about it.
No. They were in the news.
Yeah.
They just didn't. They didn't take.
Was it before coronavirus? When did that?
No. I think it was after coronavirus. I had to look up the actual dates, but.
Yeah. So you got to ask why.
Why did they take or what?
If this allegedly happens to black people almost every day, why just this one? Was it just the straw that broke the camel's back? Or?
I think it was the brutal nature of.
The timing is suspicious.
Well, it was the brutal nature of. It was a number of things, but like the leaning on the guy's neck, which is a simple one-liner. You know, it's an easy.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
This again, it sounds like just from this movie, Wag the Dog. They came up with like a slogan that people could say over and over again to get them thinking about how much they support this war.
I have a lot of thoughts about all these things. I really do.
They needed a slogan. They got a song. Just like 4 years ago when that other kid died. Hands up, don't
Hands up, don't shoot. Was Ferguson? That was Michael Brown.
2016. I think it's the Olympics.
But here's
every
the thing.
4 years it's the Olympics.
Oh,
that's
it.
what it is. It's not.
That's it.
The election.
Are the Olympics the same year?
No, they
as
canceled.
the election? No.
Oh, the same year. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 4 years.
Maybe I didn't know that.
But they canceled it.
Hang on. You know, Michael, the whole thing about Michael. This is really interesting, and a lot of people don't know this. And I didn't actually look into it myself. I just had to find other experts.
You got a
pipe cleaner.
Pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
That's what this happens.
Okay, apparently what happened with Michael Brown is he grabbed the police officer's gun.
Oh, really?
So and a lot of people don't even know that. But
that's a lot different.
And he's still listed, like, here's a good example. All the companies that are virtue signaling and like donating to BLM and so McDonald's, their Twitter account, the banner in the back has a list of a bunch of unarmed black deaths.
Right.
And people's names. And Michael Brown's on the list still. People still invoke the name and put him on the list because a lot of people don't know what actually happened.
I know we're jumping around a bit, but was there actual evidence in this latest case, the George Floyd case, that the cops were racially motivated? By that I mean, did they use the N-word?
Nobody. No.
Did they have a history with this guy or any black guy?
And again, like.
Or was it just because it was a white guy and a black guy?
And I've heard a number of different things, but I know at least one of the police officers who was there of the four was like a rookie. It was like his first day on the job or something. If not,
that sucks.
Another. I've heard another time that like everybody except for Derek Chauvin they were all like pretty new.
Yeah. And two of them were not black. Two of them were not white.
Yeah.
There was an Asian guy and a like a mixed race guy.
Yeah.
Half black guy. So yeah, this whole thing sounds like it's subterfuge to me.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like, and I'm just waiting for the next thing to come because I don't think this is going to work for them either. It's worked a lot better for them than coronavirus, but
well, you know what is the problem?
It's going to work.
But by worked for them.
Well, here's the thing. They have the mail-in ballots too. Let's not forget that.
The fraud or what?
Yeah. Well, that for no reason at all, they want everyone to have the option to mail in.
Yeah.
For no reason at all.
And I keep on seeing, even in Twitter, the trending news keeps on saying, like, voter mail-in. Maybe it's not Twitter, maybe it's my YouTube feed, but the stuff that I subscribe to, like, over and over and over again, there's, like, all this mail-in voter fraud.
Like, yeah. And I don't even know how I don't know that if there's evidence for it or not. that it
It's
happens.
happening now.
But just that
People
just,
are like being
just,
indicted right now for
Oh really?
for doing
See, I'm not paying attention.
like in not obviously not presidential elections. It's like other
Really?
in other elections. Yeah.
See, I don't pay attention. That's part of it.
I could pull up a few videos.
It's just too much for me. I can't.
But yeah.
do it.
Here's the other thing. We could go down a million different rabbit holes. Let's talk about
How about pipe tobacco?
no. So Black Lives Matter. So the Democrats and the mainstream media, they sort of probably a good analogy for this. And I think I keep on hearing people they turn to people they didn't understand. What is that from? It's from a movie or something.
What?
In their desperation, they turn to people they didn't fully understand, something like that. It's gonna kill me.
Was I supposed to know that reference?
I don't know. The point is that the mainstream media, the Democrats, whoever, deep state, invoked this whole thing. They got the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have control of the ball anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they think they're going to do a good job with this, because now you even have Biden coming out and saying, not. He actually has vocalized his opposition to defunding the police.
That's good.
So not just that, but even pulling down some statues. So yeah, I mean, this is not working for them either.
No. It's a complete. It's just.
Anyway,
I just hope people remember. People won't remember this though. All the
that's the
turmoil.
problem.
All the
I'll remember it in 4
wag
years,
the dog.
and I'm
all
gonna be
the
like,
turmoil. Told you so.
resharing this video.
All the turmoil of the 2020 that we have been complaining about.
Yeah.
It's all because of the Democrats. It's completely led by the Democrats. All the lockdown stuff was the Democrats.
Yeah.
They blamed Trump because he didn't do enough. Well, what was he supposed to do?
Seriously.
Because he talked about masks. He said he made fun of the WHO, stuff like that.
Made fun of the WHO?
Well, he said that they were that it was a fake disease or something at first.
Oh,
He said stuff like that.
I don't think that's accurate. I have to look it up, but
Well, maybe I heard wrong.
he was the first one to. I mean, he invoked the travel ban. So
Yeah.
I mean, those were the kinds of things that he could do. But I think that delegating the decision making to local officials was a great idea.
I wish that if the governors had. I was just thinking about this.
Yeah.
If the governors had done this, they could have done this. They could have said, "Look."
Oh yeah.
They could have said, "Look,
lock stuff down.
we're gonna shut down
Yeah.
we're gonna shut down state stuff. State stuff. We're gonna shut it down. It's up to the mayors and town councils of the townships and the cities to decide what you're gonna do. Because you know your cities and your towns better than I do.
Yep.
They should have done if they had done that. I would have been okay with that. But this kind of thing that our governor and other governors have done, our governor has been pretty light compared to some of the other Democratic
Like
governors.
Cuomo, or what do you mean?
Like
I don't
Cuomo, like
like how though?
like I guess I'm thinking of the mayor of Chicago, who's a Democrat. She was a maniac. She was talking about pulling people from their homes.
Yeah,
arresting
and I
and
know there was a
stuff like
bunch
that.
of people who were, Connecticut.
Michigan.
I'm pretty sure Connecticut
That-
came out with a way of like reporting gatherings of.
Yeah, our guy hasn't been great, but I think
like,
he's been
stuff.
he's-
Like turning citizens against
Yeah.
each other. I hate that.
Yeah. Has anyone done it?
What? Actually reported on the
Yeah.
site? I'm sure there are. You see the people
Someone
writing
did.
about
Actually,
it on
someone did it
Facebook all the
to.
time.
Yeah, someone did it to a very popular bar and restaurant in Manchester, the Hungry Tiger.
Really?
Yeah, because he had let in a couple of literally 2 people into the
Without
bar.
masks or something?
No, before
Oh.
before phase 1, he had let people in. When it was just takeout only, curb service only, he had let a couple of people in, and someone snitched on him.
Yeah.
And the cops came and and friend and stuff. He's got this. He had a flag on his sign, "Live free or die," stuff like that.
You know this. Have you heard about Elon Musk getting involved in this? So he's in California.
Elon Musk, yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, he wants to leave.
He wanted to reopen his factory.
Yeah.
Wanted everyone to get back to work. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I remember reading a tweet. He said, like, we're reopening the factory tomorrow against lockdown orders. If anybody's going to get arrested, please let it just be me. This is my fault.
Wow.
And then I saw pictures about him. You know, he showed it was an aerial photo of a place in Texas that he wants to build a new factory in.
Right.
Which I think he may actually be doing.
Yeah.
But
I heard of another company from Chris Wiley actually posted this. Some other company, I don't know what it was, moving. They are in the process of moving their entire operation from California to Texas.
yeah, which scares me a little bit. Like in Minnesota, you know, or right now in Minneapolis, they're disbanding the police, or trying to.
Really?
I don't know if it's actually. I know they voted it, but somebody interestingly told me that the town's charter or the city's charter won't allow for that. So I don't know how they're going to do it, but like businesses, I'm pretty sure businesses are already moving out there. I know businesses in Seattle are moving out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I just hope they don't bring their politics with them.
That's the thing.
And I know
I
other people
follow
have mentioned that too.
the governor from Texas, Greg Abbott,
Yeah.
and he's kind of sort of wishy-washy Republican too, apparently, according to some people.
So you're on Twitter? Is that
No, on
Twitter?
Facebook.
On Facebook.
And that's what a lot of people post. And a lot of the Texans are posting that in these threads whenever he posts something. That's what their chief complaint is. Keep Texas a red state.
Yeah.
We don't want your liberal crap in our state.
I know their urban cities are pretty liberal.
Yeah, Austin,
Houston.
some of those areas. Yeah, they are. So I don't know. Politics.
Let's talk about the narrative.
The narrative.
So the shooting, the death of George Floyd, the killing of George Floyd. I won't say murder because that's
Shooting?
something that
Shot.
I know. The other ones were unarmed shooting. It was an unarmed death. All the data that we have about police statistics and unarmed deaths are all related to shootings.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have data on like
A choking out?
right, yeah, deaths by whatever you want to call it, under police authority or something. We have all the shooting data. That's the data that they keep track of.
Yeah.
So the narrative at first was Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery,
Yeah.
George Floyd, and so the proposition, the narrative is the police are running rampant and killing willy-nilly black people in the streets,
Yeah.
right? And they face no consequences. That's the narrative.
Yeah.
And people still, even now, even though the narrative has been shifting, there's all this goalpost moving. You know, as you start engaging in conversations with people and time passes and people are more open to hearing these things now, the goalpost shifts.
Yeah.
So it's not like, no, that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
We know that, it's pretty rare for an unarmed black man to be shot by police, shot and killed by police. That's pretty rare. What's not rare, this is why it gets so, like, tiring. It's exhausting to have to follow all this stuff.
Which is why I don't do it.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
I got pulled in because, I don't know, last election cycle when this happened before.
Yeah.
So I was already wise to it.
Yeah.
So when I heard and I saw BLM protesting again, I was like, wait a minute. I remember already having thought through this issue.
Yeah.
I had to do a much deeper dive this time.
Yeah.
But still arriving at very similar conclusions. And I actually, so very early on, I had a conversation on Facebook with family about this.
Yeah.
And I said, what happened to George Floyd was terrible.
Yeah.
It was brutal. The officer, Another big thing about this too, and I have so many thoughts. Like I said, way too many people are. They're not in the jury.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to hear the arguments on both sides of the fence, and they're not going to see all the other evidence that goes into this case. And so it's really not fair to make a judgment from outside the jury box, I don't think. And I believe in our system, I mean, Derek Chauvin is going to be judged by a jury of his peers, and they're going to see all the evidence.
Yeah.
And,
he may or may not get.
Huh?
He may or may not be exonerated.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And.
But the political pressure's on though. If he's let off.
Well, you know what makes me even more upset is not Derek Chauvin, but
these other guys.
The Rayshard Brooks shooting.
Oh.
I don't even know the name of the police officer involved, but
I think I heard of this one.
You did.
He actually kind of attacked the police, did he?
Kind of attacked. So this is a very different shooting. So this is the one that happened outside Wendy's. I remember the first time I saw it. I actually saw it the day afterwards, and the day afterwards, the Wendy's was on fire.
Really? Like
the very next day at night,
the place down.
The Wendy's was set on fire.
Wow.
Because there were protests in the streets. And then I watched the video of the arrest and the shooting. Basically, this guy, Rayshard Brooks, was driving drunk, fell asleep in the parking lot, or not in the parking lot, in the drive-through of the Wendy's.
Yeah.
So the Wendy's people, they called the police.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do?
Right.
Push the car out of the way? What are you supposed to do? So they called the police. The police came. They got him. They moved his car. They got him out. They talked to him. He was mostly compliant. Said he had a few drinks. They did a sobriety test, and they did a breathalyzer, and he was way over the limit.
Yeah.
So they start to go put him in handcuffs, and once they start doing that, he resists. And it's really important to understand the reason why he resisted. It wasn't because he thought what he did was wrong. It was because he knew that he had priors, and this kind of arrest.
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah. It was going to be a big deal. So he not only resists, but there are 2 police officers there. They're both trying to hold him down. They tell him, stop resisting us. He's like throwing him around like rag dolls. They try to go tase him. He steals the taser from the police officer.
How did that happen?
Punches a guy.
Is he a big dude?
He's huge. Yeah, he was a big guy. He was very strong, and so he steals the guy's taser, totally wails on one of the police officers, knocks him, I don't know what you call that. I'm not a boxer, but he got him right in the face, and steals the taser, is running away. The 2 officers chase him. He turns back with the taser, fires. You can see the light, and the officer shoots and kills him.
Open and shut, right?
That's what it seems like to me. He's being charged with felony murder.
I heard that from Crowder, your boy Crowder.
Right, yeah. And
stuff pops up in my
which
video.
apparently in Atlanta is
the cop is being charged with felony.
Yeah, it's punishable by the to the death penalty. Who wants to be a police officer? There's been a rash of blue flu. 170 police officers called out sick or something.
They can protest too.
Yeah,
and they should.
And they should.
Here's the thing, America. The exceptions do not disprove the rule in this case. You don't want to live in a country where there's no police, where there's a dearth of police. Because when stuff comes to your door, you're gonna have to deal with it yourself.
Which maybe is what people want. Honestly, if it was, if you had the liberty to kill someone when they enter your house or start damaging your property without your consent, if you had the freedom to end their life, I think you'd see a lot less of those things happening. So when you start restricting, when you start like taking away the respect of property, then people are emboldened to commit more crimes.
Well, I think the sort of the big picture thing here too. Another consideration, sort of philosophical, I guess, is as people on the right often say that the left eats itself. The first generation of sort of the classic neoliberal, or not neoliberal, the classic liberal kind of JFK Democrat, taught these people this stuff, and now they're reaping the reward. Taught them that property is not important, that corporations are evil, that
really.
Yeah.
JFK?
Well, no, but his generation, the hippie generation, my parents' generation, my generation, the Gen X generation.
Yeah, property's not important.
Property's not important. Money isn't important. Corporations are evil. That people with power are somehow innately evil.
Yeah. That's a Marxist thing.
Yeah, it is. And that's what they were taught, but that's what they're doing. I remember a few years ago, there was you know what's happening, and I don't even know if it's still going on, this Chaz thing in Seattle.
So yeah, they officially released a statement saying that they were going to disband because there had been a rash of crime or whatever.
Of course.
And so they went in, let's clean it up, and they're not leaving. That's the last time.
They're not leaving?
Right, yeah.
Anyway,
so not even the leader of Chaz can get them to do what he wants.
Yeah, something like that has happened a few years ago at a university.
An occupied protest?
Yeah, in
Connecticut?
No, in Seattle. I think it was in Oregon. Pacific University, I think is what it was. Okay. And what precipitated it all was the student body, and I think some of the faculty organized something called I'm calling it this. I don't know if this is like a whiteout.
Yeah.
And the idea was that all the white faculty.
This was Evergreen.
No, it was Pacific University. I don't know if it happened. It might have happened in other places too.
I only learned about this recently. Yeah.
Okay, so this was a few years ago. This was when I was still in school, so at least 3 years.
What happened in Evergreen was.
What's Evergreen?
Evergreen was the name of a school. I can't remember the state.
Let me finish my story.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank
you. Evergreen.
So what happened was they did this thing, and the idea was that all the white faculty and students were going to stay home for a day, for whatever reason, to teach people how to do this. But one of the faculty, by no means conservative, definitely a sort of a classic liberal kind of a guy, refused, and he released an email to everybody.
Dude, this is Evergreen. Are you sure it's not Brett Weinstein? Brett Weinstein?
I don't know. It was
This is exactly what happened at
Pacific University. Was the name of the place.
Wow, something different.
I don't know. And he said, "I'm not going to do this. It's a bad idea. Here's
Day of absence was what they.
Maybe that was. Maybe it is the same thing. I don't know what Evergreen is. What's Evergreen? Where is it at?
Maybe that's the name. All right, I'm gonna
look it up. So yeah, so you're familiar with the story.
Yeah.
Whether it's two different stories or the same story or whatever. But you're blocking the camera. Oh no,
I'm not. I don't think so.
So yeah, so the whole college went crazy. They went crazy. They locked the whole thing down. The students took over the entire campus.
Yeah.
They confined faculty to their offices or to lecture halls and stuff like this, and didn't let anyone go in and out without their permission. The students did this. It was anarchy.
Did you watch the Joe Rogan interview with Brett Weinstein recently?
No. And so the
you
point,
gotta watch this
the point of the story, the moral of the story was
Evergreen State College. What do you mean Pacific?
Where's that? Where is it?
It's in Washington, Olympia.
Okay. What's Pacific University? Maybe I'm thinking of another college. Anyway, yeah, that must be the story then. And then the sort of the moral of the story was, and I've seen this.
The story is the moral.
The moral of the story is, I saw this in some comment, threads and stuff.
This was March 2017.
That sounds right. Okay, it must be that then. Was that you people, meaning guys like this guy, you're reaping the whirlwind. This is what you taught these students to think. This is how you taught them to think. You taught them to hate authority. And now This is what they're doing.
I don't
what
know.
do you
Maybe
expect?
not. Maybe not this guy. Maybe he didn't think that's. I don't know. I mean, I didn't.
Well, sort of in my generation, okay?
Yes.
When we were in high school,
Yep.
this was the story we were getting. This is what we were being.
That's what you were
Yes.
getting?
I graduated in '93. This was the kind of
I
thing.
graduated in 2005. That's not what I remember getting.
This is the kind of thing that we were getting. We were getting this kind of hippie, Marxist indoctrination. I resisted it because I became a Christian in my junior year of high school, and I was sort of conservative anyway before this.
This is sort of a direction I kind of want to go. Is like you're starting to see like BLM and all these ideas invade the church, and I actually saw a tweet today from somebody who was saying, and this might be close to home for us. I haven't done enough research to check, but there was something about some statement made like we have to get away, or something like we have to get away from this idea that this false dichotomy of Christianity versus Marxism.
That's not a false dichotomy. That's a true dichotomy.
Like PCA.
Really?
Yes.
Who said this?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Someone in our denomination, or?
It was a. I have to look it up.
Listen,
Sounds like it.
I heard in our church. I'm not going to name names. During I think it was a Sunday school hour. I don't even know what we were talking about. But it came up where the idea of sort of a socialistic redistribution of wealth schema is, quote, this person said, the social contract. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
It was like Acts 2 or 5.
Well, the idea of this, it's a political philosophy, the social contract, which goes back, I think, to John Locke, is the idea that human beings form governments because we're in covenant with each other.
Yeah.
We want to protect each other's rights and properties and lives and stuff. And this person was saying that part of that entails, well, she was implying, this person was implying that entails basically socialism. And it doesn't. It's insane. And that was in our church. And I thought our church was kind of conservative.
Did somebody object?
No. Well, we kind of did, but a few people spoke against that idea.
Our church is very mixed.
It is. But I'm starting to see that. But it was not very forceful. No one shut the idea down. They just were sort of like very timidly saying, well, I don't know about that. But no, that is not even what the social contract is about, as far as I understand it. And B, certainly not what the Bible is about.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pervasive, and it's.
Let me play devil's advocate for you, Mr. Bible.
Okay.
How are this Marxist ideology and the Bible compatible?
Well, apart from Marxism being steeped in atheism, that's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, the Bible protects in a very almost sacralizes private property. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not even covet any of your neighbor's possessions, goods, maid servants, men servants. You're not even supposed to desire it.
Yeah.
That implies from God's own lips that God has given those properties to whoever owns them.
Yeah.
The Proverbs is full of this stuff. God is the one that distributes. The rich and the poor have this in common. God is the maker of them both. That is completely diametrically opposed to Marxism that wants to abolish private property.
Right. Or disparities in wealth.
In wealth. And the Bible is not
Which
on
is
board
what you're
with that.
about to do today.
Jesus himself says.
Intersectionality, I think, is what that is.
Okay.
Where there's like.
Jesus himself says. This is what Jesus says. He says, wait. Oh, yeah.
Preach.
Huh?
Preach.
Yeah. He said, not only did he say, the poor you will have with you always, which is not, something that the Marxists would like to hear.
Yep.
He also says, to him who much has been given, whoever is faithful in much will be given much more. That's rewarding according to works. Doing something, if you do something right, you do something good, you'll be rewarded for it. And to him who thinks he has, even what he has will be taken away. Something like that. Where is that? You know what I'm talking about.
Sure, yeah.
I have to look it up.
Sermon on the Mount?
I don't know. Probably, yeah. I have to look it up. Maybe you YouTube comment people.
Honestly, I think that like just going to the Ten Commandments, that seems to like be the simplest way to defeat this whole thing.
That God sacralizes, and I
everything
mean sacralizes.
Everything is there. Really.
That's a heavy word, but I think that it's the right word.
Yeah.
God has given private property to people, and with the understanding that people abuse that all the time. He also condemns unjust balances, and he also condemns not paying your labor, exploiting labor. So where the Marxists were right was where they say labor is exploited, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
And they're right.
So what's the Christian way to fix that kind of a problem?
What we were doing, what we have done.
What?
Reform. The Marxists hated regulate. Yeah, like within reason. The Marxists hated reform.
They wanted to
throw
abolish.
They were
revolutionary.
From the first letter on the communist. Now that's the only experience I have with Marxism. Was I read most of the Communist Manifesto as much as I could stomach it, because it's just terrible, horrible stuff.
I saw someone at our church post about one of the lines recently.
And from sentence one, they are not interested in reform. They condemn because what was going on at the time? The labor movement was going on in America and in Europe. And they hated that. They hated liberals.
Really quickly.
They didn't like liberals.
This is relevant to people who participated in Blackout Tuesday.
Yeah.
I started following Pause the Show on Twitter because that's the official account of the people who ran the Blackout Tuesday thing.
Yeah.
Where everyone was posting those black avatars on everything. Hashtag Blackout Tuesday. Where is it going? Abolishing. I remember them coming. They posted an infographic, like a little, image that talked about how LA what they were trying to do was reduce the budget of the police.
Right.
And they went so far as to say, that's not good enough.
Right.
You need to wipe them out. Yeah. You need to completely defund them.
That's exactly that's
it
very
wasn't unclear at all.
That's very in line with Marxists.
Right.
The Marxists, the manifesto starts with that.
So what do you think about this? Like Christians falling into this?
I don't think they understand. They're not trained in their minds. They don't. That's maybe one of the biggest failings of the church is that it doesn't teach people to think. It doesn't teach real wisdom. The church does what all educational institutions do. It gives them little bits of information to memorize and to spit back.
What's the solution?
The solution the church needs to train people to think like Christians.
Yeah.
What R.C. Sproul did, and what he tried to do in his ministry, was what the church needs to do. To train people to think like Christians. And that includes Christian philosophy. That includes formal logic, formal reasoning.
Yeah.
That's what the Proverbs are about. The Proverbs would be totally in line with like Aristotle and those early Greek Platonic and Aristotelian thinkers. Teach people how to use their brain. Teach them that that is one of the main differences between humans and other animals is that they think.
So I can't pause this. Can we stop and do part 2?
Sure.
I want to get another drink.
I'm gonna go pee.
Okay. Break time.